Hey guys, it's Mr. Biomed here, Lectures Made Easy. Now in this video, I want to go through how I revise for an exam. And these are 4 different techniques that you can utilize, not only for exam revision, but to revise ultimately for any of the modules that you're currently undertaking in college or university. Use these techniques and you will see that you will maximize your learning potential. Let's get straight into it. The first thing I like to do is to always go to my ideal study environment. Now, my ideal study environment is one that is free from any noise. There's absolute silence. Number 2, my ideal study environment is one that is free from any distraction. This means that my mobile phone is put away, there is no TV present, and there is no music playing in the background. I like absolute silence when I'm reading, and this helps me to focus on the very hard concepts that I'm trying to retain in my mind. The second thing I do is I use the 50, 10, 10, 40, 10 rule. Now, what does this mean exactly? Now, this represents 50 minutes. This is 50 minutes of your first hour of study. After the first 50 minutes, you then take a 10-minute break. This makes up the first hour. After that 10-minute break, you then take 10 minutes to revise what you read for the first hour. You then study for 40 minutes. You then take another 10-minute break, and this corresponds to the second hour of your study and other successive study hours. 50, 10, 10, 40, 10. Third thing on my list is that when I'm studying, I always like to make my studying visually appealing. What does this mean? This means that when I'm taking notes, I like to put boxes around key words. I like to draw clouds or certain shapes around key terms. Sometimes I like to highlight things a certain color. Maybe this orange represents one type of theme that I'm trying to learn. Maybe this pink represents another theme that I'm trying to learn. And in doing this, I'm focusing on the most important concepts when it comes to memorizing the long list of things that I might have taken down on my notes. So this is very important to make your learning visually appealing. And when it comes to revising as well, you will see that actually having notes that have lots of color and shapes, it just prevents you from not wanting to read it. I would want to read something that is of this nature. It's visually appealing for myself. And I call this the 3 modes of contraction. Now, what do I mean by the 3 modes of contraction? The first thing I do is when I'm reading a textbook, when I'm taking notes from that textbook, I always take those notes in my own words. Take notes in your own words. This is because the textbook will never sound like you, and when it comes to reading, when it comes to revising, revise something that sounds like the speech pattern that you normally have, the speech pattern that is natural to how you speak. Take notes in your own words. Once you've done that, the second mode of contraction is to then take the most important notes and transfer these to a flashcard. Of course, or flashcards, depending on how many notes you've taken for the day. And what you're doing is, after making your learning visually appealing, you're then taking what's most important and you're transferring those things to flashcards. Now you're condensing it even more. On that flashcard, it is also visually appealing for yourself. Once you've done that, number 3 is to then take just the key words to another flashcard. And what you've done is you've condensed lots of paragraphs to short words and phrases to just words. These are the 3 modes of contraction. And every time I'm looking at the flashcard that has just my keywords that are still visually appealing for myself, I can remember those important notes, and ultimately I can also remember the length of notes that I had taken for that particular study session. So just to summarize how I revise: number 1, find that ideal study environment. Number 2, utilize the 50, 10, 10, 40, 10 rule. For the first hour, it will make up a 50-minute study for a 10-minute break. You'll then have a 10-minute revision session, a 40-minute study, and another 10-minute break. And always make sure your learning is visually appealing for all the notes that you are taking, and then make sure that you're always contracting those notes. Start off by taking those notes in your own words. Transfer the most important notes, and again, the most important notes to a flashcard or to flashcards, depending on how lengthy those notes are or how big the flashcards are. Ultimately, you then want to take just the keywords and transfer them to another flashcard. And by doing so, you've just contracted a lengthy piece of writing to simple key words. And that is how I revise. That has been Mr. Biomed Lectures Made Easy.